Okay. All right. So, good morning, everyone. I am obviously Travis Campbell. This is obviously my podcast. Welcome back, everyone.
Whoa! What's this guy doing here?
I was just warming up.
Did he say anything bad? Did he say anything bad about me, y'all? Did he say anything bad about me?
I didn't get to that good stuff yet.
Oh, dang. Okay. But welcome back. I'm the real Travis Campbell, and this is Sitdown Remix. Welcome back, everybody, to everyone who watches us. Last week, we obviously had some struggles again, but we got through it, and we're going to get through it again. I'm here with probably one of my favorite teachers in this entire school.
I'm sure you say that about all of them.
I don't. Mr. Steven Reyes, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. I'm glad to be here. Well, I was about to welcome you as yourself.
Yeah, of course.
No, it's cool. I haven't done one of these in a while, so this is good.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get into today, but before we do, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and ring the notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. So, obviously you know this podcast is essentially sports related. We do a ton of sports games. We have a lot of fun with what we do. But I know there's a topic you hold very close to you, and that is Hispanic heritage and how it has its impact on sports. So how does that translate to how you watch sports and how you think about sports?
Yes, well, thanks for that. The first thing I should say is that I appreciate the athleticism of sports, and I appreciate the culture and the stories behind the players, but I can't consider myself a true fan. When people say, what's your team? Because I've lived in a lot of different cities. I lived in New York for many years. I was almost a Jets fan, as you know.
Yeah.
Almost a Giants fan, although my friends back home, back in New York would be like, how could you say that? How could you possibly say you are almost a Giants fan? And it's because it's out of respect to them, because I'm like, I don't follow them to the extent that you do. But as far as Hispanic heritage goes, this is Hispanic Heritage. This week begins Hispanic Heritage Month in most places in the U.S. And so it makes me kind of remember when I first started watching and paying attention to the NFL. It was around 2009, 2008, 2009, 2010, that era. And Mark Sanchez was featured as the rookie quarterback for the New York Jets.
Sanchez, baby.
Yeah, exactly. And Rex Ryan was the coach at the time of the Jets. And it made me kind of go, and there was some mention of his heritage, but not a lot. It was just kind of like, well, he had Mexican ancestry. He played for the Trojans before that at USC. So I dug in a little bit, and I was like, okay, so he's got some generations of Hispanic heritage, Latino, heritage, and so I was like, well, this is kind of interesting. And then I started paying attention to other athletes at the time in the NFL. It was Victor Cruz, who would do his with Giants, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, and he would do his victory dance, his little salsa dance.
Yep.
He also has Latino heritage on both sides and throughout his family traditions. Yep. So I was like, okay, this is interesting. It would be great to kind of include that in the conversation more, because I think there's not enough of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my approach to sports even today, and even here at Harbor High School. I'm just like, hey, I get really interested in students and their work and achievements in sports and music and how it all comes together.
Yeah. So you said that around 2009, 2010 was when you started watching, and you were watching the Jets because of Mark Sanchez.
Yes, mostly. And I was living in New York.
So how was it knowing that you saw the last successful seasons the Jets have had in the last 14 years?
So that part I wasn't even thinking about. You know more about it than I do. Yeah. I think what was fun, I think about what I remember about that time was Rex Ryan was very boisterous. The coach was like, we're going to the Super Bowl. And he said that 2 years in a row. And I can't remember if the first year they made it to the semifinal. They made it further than anyone had thought that they would.
They made it to the AFC Championship game.
Okay, all right. And then the second year, they also made the playoffs.
They made the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. Did they make it to the same level? Did they achieve this? That's part I don't remember.
They lost both years, and then the butt fumble is now an infamous play in NFL history.
Of course. Yeah. So, but I think the big thing was that it was his rookie year. There was a lot of excitement around it that first year, second year, and then after that, it was just like a disappearance or a. I mean, you know the history better than I do, but like a slide. I think Rex Ryan. I don't know how much longer he stayed there before he went to the Bills. But anyway, so what it was like was basically it was a very exciting time for potential. Like, wow, could this actually happen? And how long had it been? You know better than I do.
Oh, it had been a long time.
That the Jets had even been to the Super Bowl. Actually, yeah. So I don't. Yeah. So
had they been?
I didn't know
since Joe Namath. I
didn't know their history as well. I mean, the Giants. I was also there for the Giants' big upset. Over a couple of years later over the Patriots, which was just total wild card, came from behind. Eli Manning was just there was no pick at all that he was going to take Tom Brady down. But that was a big moment for New York City. I was there for that.
It was more so their defense that took him down. Manning was good. I just think Eli Manning is just one of those quarterbacks that he won the 2 Super Bowls, and so people consider him an all-time great, right? He really was nothing more than a game manager most of his career, but he wasn't ever a bad quarterback, just never really took that step into elite territory.
So, but back to the Jets, it was that sort of excitement around, attention being put on players from diverse backgrounds and going, wow, and not only that, he's a rookie player, back to Mark Sanchez. And so it was kind of like, oh, that was fun, but that's why I can't consider myself a full fan because, I wasn't that wrapped up in it. I had friends that I would watch the games with, and they were into it. So I was like, all right, let's just take a look, and I got interested in the stories. I didn't care about the stats so much. I didn't care about the history of the team. This is where my New York friends are going, that's why you're not a fan. I'm like, yeah, but that's okay. That's okay.
I mean,
you can watch
you
and appreciate athleticism and the stories of the players without being a true fanatic.
Yeah, you can like the sport and not be a fan of a team. I'm definitely cool with that. Like a lot of people tell me, oh, I can't watch this because I don't have a team I root for. I'm like, you don't have to. As long as you enjoy watching the sport, root for chaos. Honestly, root for upsets.
Root for chaos.
Root for upsets. Yeah.
I'll have to remember that.
And Mark Sanchez actually had better staying power in the NFL than a lot of people think he did. He actually, a lot of people think he was out of the league by 2015, 2016. He started 2 games for Washington back in 2018. And I think retired in 2020 as a backup. He was in the NFL and had a lot more success than people give him credit for.
And where is he now?
He's at ESPN doing color commentary for different college games.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah, Hispanics always especially within the last decade have had such a big impact through the international pathway programs that the NFL's created. It's great to have the diversity that the NFL has now, and that is. I hope that never goes away. I hope that stays how it is forever.
And I think a lot of sports have had it for a long time, and I think it's just a matter of how we pay attention to it. When you talk about diversity, it's good to be clear that we're looking at cultural diversity, racial diversity, ethnic diversity, which sometimes those overlap. But I wanted to say something quickly about Hispanic because I was telling my classes yesterday, actually just this week, I asked the question, what is Hispanic? And I said, don't be embarrassed if you don't know, because many adults don't know that it's kind of a term that's used by the U.S. government, the Census Bureau, for labeling people who speak Spanish.
Yeah.
It's not really a cultural marker. It doesn't really denote any kind of ethnic category. It's just kind of a general wash based on linguistic, which is fine to have when you're looking at categorizing census, those kind of basic markers. But I always challenge people to say, or to think that, if imagine if everyone who spoke English in the world were just labeled Anglic.
Yeah.
And we just said, okay, and that's your group. Think of all the diversity that we're missing out on when we talk about just a group of people that speak a language. And so to kind of take it further into the Latina cultural essence, that's usually part of Latin America.
Yeah.
Or if you want to say Spanish-speaking cultures, I think that's fine as long as we acknowledge what countries and how specific we can be about that.
Yeah.
So Mexico versus Guatemala versus El Salvador versus all of South America, Colombia, Venezuela, and the like. So that's kind of one of the things that I like to mention when we talk about cultural diversity.
Yeah, 100%. Kids, if you haven't already, learn about different cultures. Culture is about more than just language. I had to learn that myself. It's great, and
Still learn about it.
It's great, and you learn something that you never thought you'd know in your life. So go ahead and give it a try because it's awesome. Regardless of what context you're studying it in. So
Cool, good message.
now I don't know if you know anything. I know you have. Have you watched any of our episodes that I've done?
I haven't watched any. I heard some of the audio recordings of some of your earlier work from last year.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was middle of the audio or towards the end of the audio recording era. But no, I haven't seen any.
Okay, so what we do here is essentially we go through what sports are in season, what sports are starting playoffs, and right now it's all about football season. And I've not watched as much NFL as I usually do this year. I've mainly been like glued to Seahawks games and like a couple primetime games. Outside of that, I'm not like I don't do Red Zone this year, whereas I did last year.
You're gonna know 10 times more. This is where you get to educate me. So
Yeah,
I'm fine.
so,
with listening here.
So if you had to say who you thought the 3 best teams in the NFL right now were, who would you think they are?
I have no idea. So I'll just pick my kind of teams that I like to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Some because of the bias and where we're located, and others because they just have a special place in my heart. So there's no real knowledge here that I'm going to drop.
Yeah.
So Kansas City, I mean, the Chiefs, I have been here. I've been in this region of the country during some major wins. So I have to say I have a bias. I can't say I'm a real fan like real fans are. So that's just kind of at the top of my list.
So the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. Now, here's the thing. These are some. Now I'm going to name some teams that I am rooting for. I mean, I like because I have a personal connection to.
Okay.
And it's going to be more than 2, but.
Okay.
So one is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Because there was a time where I was paying attention to them. I have no idea how they're doing now. They could be, I have no idea. But when I was paying attention to them, I think it was Flacco who was the quarterback.
Oh.
So that's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's that. But it's just kind of a thing. And I love that the Baltimore Ravens were named after an artist. So there's kind of that.
The only reason they're in Baltimore is because their owner left in the dead of night from Indianapolis to go.
Yeah, that sounds like something that the Raven tradition would bring about.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then there's the Seattle Seahawks, who I have friends who are, and I forgot that you're kind of a big Seahawks fan yourself, but I have friends who are really, really diehard fans. And they saw the Seahawks through some of the worst times in the NFL. So I'm like, you know what? I have respect for that. To really stick with a group. So there's that. And then the New York Giants, again, I don't know how they've been doing. I don't think they've been doing that well in the last few seasons, but I'm still rooting for them. So anyway, I hope that's enough to work with.
The Giants are an understatement. They've been horrible.
Yes.
They look like maybe the worst team in football right now.
My friends have nicknames for whenever like an NFL team, is doing horribly. I think the Giants become like the mice or something like that.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Or something like that.
The Chiefs, obviously, they've won back-to-back Super Bowls. Are obviously going to be. They've been really good this year, although they did get bailed by the refs against the Bengals. And yes, Chiefs fans, they did get bailed by the refs. That was not a pass interference, and Mahomes did not complete a single pass on that last drive. So yes, they did get bailed out by the refs. And then the Ravens, so they went 13-4 last year and made the AFC Championship game.
Okay.
They've started 0-2 this year, and they lost to the Raiders at home.
Well, the Raiders, and now correct me if I'm wrong, the Raiders, when did
They're
the
in
Raiders
Vegas
become
now.
go to Vegas?
A few years ago.
And how have they been doing?
Not great. They hired Josh McDaniels.
Because I always thought that when I lived in Vegas, so I went to school at UNLV, and we always, my friends and I always talked about how come Nevada does not have a professional like NFL, and Vegas would be perfect to have it. And of course, we didn't think that it would be buying the Raiders or just transferring the Raiders because they were I thought they were kind of nicely situated in Oakland. It was more, how about we create a new team? The Vipers, the Copperheads, the Cobras, the Scorpions, something like that. That would be reminiscent of the desert environment. But
they also brought the NHL over first, anyway. So
that's interesting.
So throughout the first 2 weeks, the 3 best teams have been the Chiefs, Buccaneers.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield's been going off, and that win over the Lions last Sunday was really good. I went back and watched highlights of that game. Goodness.
When did Tom Brady retire officially?
A couple years ago.
2 years ago. So he was not with them last season. He was with them 2 seasons ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, I have lots of family in Florida. Florida has, correct me if I'm wrong, they have 2 or 3? They have 3 NFL teams? Or they have 2?
Miami, Jacksonville, Tampa.
Jacksonville, that's right. They have 3. Okay. So, I mean, it's easy for me to go, okay, that's cool, give some Florida some love. But, yeah, I haven't been paying much attention to Tampa Bay or any of the other.
And then the Bills look like they haven't missed a beat since Diggs left. Like, the Bills look dominant still.
See, and I remember the Bills when they were always like the bottom of the conference, of the division, and I was just like wanting Buffalo Bills is, this is where you'll know more than I will too, but aren't they the only team whose mascot is named after the town?
I think you're right. Yeah, I mean,
the town is Buffalo.
Yeah, Bills fans,
and their mascot is a buffalo.
Yeah, they're Bills fans. Bills fans are crazy, anyways. I mean, y'all jumped through tables, and you went through 4 years where you went to the Super Bowl and didn't win it in a row.
It's also the only team, and my friends are going to kill me for this. It's also the only team in New York.
Oh yeah, because the Jets and Giants play in New Jersey. There's a fun fact for y'all. Yeah. The 2 teams named New York don't play in New York.
That's right. They play in New Jersey at Meadowlands, where I used to live close to that as well.
Yeah.
So much rivalry between New York and New Jersey, or at least a lot of smack talking, we'll call it that. And I'm like, you don't even have a stadium. You use New Jersey Stadium. Come on. And I'm a fan, close to a fan, because I lived in New York. So I was like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, let's be honest here. You guys, Jets and Giants fans, I don't know how y'all do it. As a Seahawks
and they
fan,
play in the same stadium.
As a Seahawks fan who is in the island of mediocrity, you guys have to be miserable people to root for those teams. Nothing against your friends or anything.
Well, what's interesting is that the rivalry in those 2 leagues is not as prevalent. There's not as much haters like there is in baseball. With the Yankees, you can be I think you can actually be a Giants and a Jets fan, and it's okay.
Yeah.
You cannot be a Yankees and a Mets fan at the same time. It's not possible because
it's the same way with the Cubs.
Different.
It's the same way with the Cubs and White Sox too. By the way, fun fact for anyone who doesn't know this, the White Sox are currently 35-116. In case anybody didn't know, that is the worst record in baseball history. And professional baseball, was started in 1869.
Didn't they win the World Series not too long ago?
2005 was when they won the World Series.
20 years ago, okay.
I
guess it wasn't that long for me.
So they're a classic example of a team of a bunch of young talent that just didn't work out. They had a bunch of young players stockpiled, like Eloy Jimenez, Yohan Moncada, Tim Anderson.
In the last 20 years, you mean?
No,
You mean
it's in the last
World
6
Series?
years. In the last 6 years.
Well, what happened before that? In the 14
they were
years?
they were bad. But
they won the World Series. What happened to all their great players?
they went to bigger markets.
Wow.
Chicago White Sox are not a big market, which is shocking considering they're in Chicago and the Cubs have a huge market for players. But the White Sox just never have tapped into that. Now their owner's a complete idiot, but yeah, it's insane how.
I do not endorse this. I am just simply listening.
Yeah, it's insane how bad.
Participating.
It's insane how bad their.
We're not name calling.
Yeah, it's insane how bad their front office has been. Like their front office is garbage. They did develop players. They brought up players way too early and killed their potential when they did bad. Yohan Moncada and Eloy Jimenez really just never turned into anything. Their young pitching like Michael Kopech never turned into anything. They pulled off one of the worst trades in history, trading Chris Sale and essentially getting nothing back for it. So just horrible mismanagement and players not working out for the White Sox, and now they are the worst team in baseball history, which is insane to me. Like, you've had 155 years of baseball, and you are the worst team out of that. I have no words. I have no words for how bad that team is.
Well, so we kind of bounced around from baseball.
Yeah,
Because
NFL.
I take us on a tangent sometimes, so I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
But
So what I was going to say about the NFL, right, is essentially this is going to be an absolutely insane season. We're already seeing a bunch of teams go down with, like, really bad injuries. Isaiah Pacheco is on the IR for the Chiefs. Tua Tagovailoa is on the IR for the Dolphins, right? Like, there's so many injuries that play into everything that happen in the NFL, especially, like, now early on. It's more crucial than ever that teams are healthy, because we need to play fantasy football, guys. We can't play if you guys are getting injured all the time because it's way too stressful.
I have never played fantasy football. Or let's see if we can, muster the be able to hold ourselves back from, I'm sure, that heavy judgment there. And you know what's funny, because there were times where I could have, and I guess I never really learned all of perhaps the fun you could have or the benefits from it to be able to, and maybe that's a good thing, to actually go through with it. Because I know there's a lot of analysis involved.
Yeah.
I know sometimes there's money involved. I wouldn't go down that route anyway. But
you have punishments involved if you're last place.
So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just so you know where I'm coming from.
Oh, yeah, no. I was honestly messing with you, because fantasy football, people like to say, oh, here's the strategies for this week, here's strategies for this week. Fantasy football's a crapshoot. You don't know who's going to perform on what week. You don't know. You make
But you're an
predictions.
advocate of it, so why are you, you're
it
saying
makes-
everybody you should play
it makes
fantasy
football. It makes football weekend more fun. Because that way you actually have incentive to, like, watch more games and, like, be invested in football more, because it's just like, oh, like, I need this player to do well in this game, I need this player to do well in this game, because it's frustrating as crap sometimes, but it gets you so invested into football, and it gets you so invested into, like, storylines, and that you don't even know what you're cheering for a lot of times, and I know that can be, like, problematic for some people, but for a lot of others, it's just for the love of football, and it's just fun.
I guess the story piece I could get into. I mean, that's kind of my interest in all of it too.
Yeah.
And not just for individual players, but for teams. I was in, and I'm going to jump back to baseball again just because I remember this.
Oh yeah, you're good.
I was
you're
actually
good.
living in Chile, whose jersey, I have the Chilean jersey. Today's Spirit Day. We wear a country that we're representing in Latin America or in the Spanish-speaking world, and I was in Chile for the World Series where the Boston Red Sox broke the curse with the Yankees. And that was a situation where I wasn't even into baseball at the time, but I had friends there who were like, no, you got to hear the story. You got to know the history of Babe Ruth and
The
all
curse of the Bambino.
Right. And so I was like, okay, I'll listen, and because I love learning, and it was exciting. And then at the time, the World Series was happening in real time. 2004, I think it was.
It was 2004.
2004. And so 20 years ago, yeah. So I was really getting into it from that standpoint of the team, and not just that particular team, but the entire history for whatever it was.
Yeah.
Almost 100 years prior, I guess, or however many years it was.
About 86, I think, 84, 86 years.
And so I was like, yeah, I can see how we can get into it, and and I was neither a Yankees fan nor a Red Sox fan, but I was like, this is interesting how history kind of, I can see where the curse comes from, and I can see how people would feel a sense of the curse being lifted when you're just coming out of nowhere. And if I remember correctly, they were also wild card, had to come from behind, had to like get through all the extra games to be able to meet the Yankees, who were picked to win that year, and it was a huge upset.
Went down 3-0 to the Yankees and then came back. That's one of the
and
then
that's
went
right.
on to
they
win
were
the
down
World
in the
Series.
games, and they had to win the rest.
And then went on to win the World Series. And what differs the Red Sox breaking their curse from the Cubs breaking their curse, right, is that the Cubs won 103 games the season they did, and they were favored to win the World Series. Now they still had to come from behind the World Series. They still did a lot of stuff that the Red Sox did, right? But I think the story of both of them is like just insane. Like the Red Sox, you gave up potentially the most iconic player in baseball history for $1,000 cash at the time.
Oh yes, that going back to the curse. Yeah.
And the Cubs. One of their fans essentially cursing their stadium, saying they would never win another World Series again. They never made it to one for 71 years.
See, I'd forgotten about all of that.
It's insane.
It's always good to talk to
baseball curses are insane, and baseball, if you look into baseball lore and baseball stories, it's insane what you'll find.
I remember being in New York too for the building of both of the new stadiums, from the old Yankee Stadium to the new Yankee Stadium, and from Shea Stadium to Citi Field for the Mets. And there was a lot. Oh yeah, there was all kinds of urban legend mixed with superstition, mixed with all kinds of stuff that I learned about when I was there. So that stuff is interesting to me, because it's a cultural, almost religious kind of sentiment that gets tied into all of it. Yeah, very, very interesting. That's why I could never be a true fan, because I would have to believe in the in all of that to really be that.
All right, so as everybody knows, we do predictions on this podcast, and please don't look up my college football prediction record. It's not good, and I'm not gonna say it. It's 1-10, but guys, I've embarrassed myself so much. We're just gonna try to get into it. And
at least you're honest.
As you know, so I already told you, right? We do 4 games, and I try to do the 4 biggest games of the weekend, the games with the most implications. You don't have to know anything about it, really. You can just say a team you think will win, and we'll go ahead and get right into it. So the first game that we're going to predict is number 24 Illinois and number 22 Nebraska, and this is a Friday night game, so it's going to be tonight as I'm recording this. So what do you think?
Let's go Illinois. I'll make this go quick because I'll be guessing kind of in the dark here.
So you're gonna say Illinois, okay? You're gonna be riding with a hot hand. They beat Kansas a couple weeks ago. I respect that. I'm going Nebraska personally.
Okay.
Nebraska is my dark horse to make the college football playoff this year. They beat down Colorado a couple weeks ago. Their defense looks incredible. I think Rayola's going to keep making strides in in Matt Rule's system.
Based on that, I would hope that I'm wrong then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Nebraska, and I'm gonna say probably by 10 points, 10, 13 points, somewhere in there, something like a 2-possession game. And Nebraska will pull it out and show the college football world that they are for real. Next up, we got USC and Michigan. Now this game's got a lot of really crazy storylines. So I'll let you make your prediction.
Well, we were just talking about a former USC, long time ago. So I'm just going to say USC for the fun. Now, when you say, wait, are you saying University of Southern California or University of South Carolina?
Oh, not South Carolina.
Okay.
It's Southern Cal.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, because I don't even know what the upcoming games are. Okay, so it's Southern California. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go with they're still the Trojans, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
All right. So USC going into the Big House for their first Big Ten game ever. And we are, hold on guys, we had a camera issue there. And we are good. Okay, so I'm going to go, like this, you could really go one of two ways in this. You can go, Michigan's defense is going to dominate. They're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. Will Johnson's going to lock up Kyron Hudson. And Miller Moss is going to have pressure in his face all day. Or you can look at the simple fact of Michigan has no quarterback. Their quarterback play has been horrible throughout the first 3 games. You can look at how they played against Texas. It wasn't good. And I think you can take both factors into account. I'm going to ride with Michigan in this game. I know that's really risky to say because they haven't looked good, but
this is good because if you continue along your same record, then that means I'm gonna have a great win this week.
Great. Yeah.
Let's just pick different teams.
But
this is good.
yeah, I'm gonna go Michigan on this one because I think Miller Moss hasn't faced a defense like Michigan yet. And no, LSU's defense is not good. I want everybody to stop saying that. They give up 33 points to Robbie Ashford, Lenore Sellers in South Carolina. Okay, they're not good. But yeah, I think Michigan's defense is going to be able to hold. It's going to be a really low-scoring game. I've got Michigan like in a 13-7 game. This is going to be an ugly game, a classic Big Ten game, and I think USC crumbles under the pressure in their first Big Ten game. I've got Michigan.
Okay. Who's
So
next?
next up, we've got a matchup out of probably the 2 best teams in the Big 12 right now outside of Kansas State. We've got Utah and Oklahoma State. Now keep in mind, Cam Rising is not expected to play for Utah this week, so it will be Isaac Wilson suiting up at quarterback for the Utes. So what do you think?
I'm just gonna go OSU just because I have so much OSU energy around me everywhere I turn. There's like students and people who are like, I'll join that bandwagon for now without knowing anything about either of the teams. Sorry, I can't. Again, I'm not a real fan. I'm just an outside observer. So
this is the first one we agree on. I'm going Oklahoma. I'm going Oklahoma State here. I think Ollie Gordon he's struggled so far to start the season. I think he's gonna get back on track this week. I expect Isaac Wilson to struggle on the road in his first conference game, and I think Bowman has a solid enough game to where Oklahoma State can focus on the run game and focus on letting their defense do a lot of the heavy loading. So I've got Oklahoma State in a close one.
Okay.
Now, the last game, and this one hits close to home for me. Saturday night on ABC, we've got the SEC opener everybody's been waiting for. We've got Tennessee at Oklahoma. Oh my gosh. Go ahead and say your prediction.
Well, no, but hold on. Tell me a little bit about this because this is close to home. So I want to, because I'm completely, unknowledgeable of this. So please help me. Just give me a little bit to work with.
So both teams are 3-0. Both teams have gotten to 3-0 different ways. Tennessee has been absolutely just dominating people. They were up 65-0 against Kent State at halftime last week. And their quarterbacks look great. Dylan Sampson out of the backfields look great. Their defense has done a lot of heavy lifting. They look like an awesome football team. Oklahoma, we're 3-0, but we've looked bad doing it. And Jackson Arnold has not played well. Our offensive line is in shambles right now. Our play calling's not good. We are getting Nick Anderson back this week. We're getting our top receiver back, so that's good. But here's a simple stat. Here's a stat for you.
I was going to ask one thing about it, but go ahead.
Oklahoma this is the first time they have been a home underdog of more than 4 points since 1978.
Interesting.
So,
okay, and then how are their home crowds?
Oh, we're second in consecutive sellouts behind Nebraska.
All right, I'm going to pick Oklahoma then.
Oh, he's going with OU.
Yeah, because I mean, it's obviously the mark of an excellent team is to be able to do damage on the road, or to do to get the win on the road, which sounds like Tennessee's perfectly capable. However, there is something about the home field spirit that sometimes cannot be messed with. And so we mentioned Oklahoma before. I'll mention it again. So we'll go with Oklahoma twice.
Okay. Man, this is so hard. I try as hard as I can to be unbiased with you guys, and as much as it's going to pain me to say, I've got to do it. I've got to go Tennessee here. I have no confidence in our offense right now. I have no confidence in Seth Luttrell calling plays, and on top of that, we've just not looked like a coherent football team.
When is the game, real quick?
6:30 tomorrow night. It's
on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night prime time on ABC.
Saturday night in Oklahoma, you better bring your A game. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
that's good.
Nico has looked like an insanely great quarterback. We've not shown we're capable of moving the ball consistently, and I just think it's going to be a bit of a struggle. More so for the defense than they face this year. I'm going Tennessee in a close game.
Okay.
I hope you guys
Shaking
know.
his head like
I
he's
hope
telling
you
us.
guys know how much that pained me to say. And if Oklahoma wins, I'm going to be insufferable next week. So
See, I can just smile through it because it's just
Yeah.
I'm distancing myself.
yeah, if
from
OU wins,
no
I'm
allegiances.
going to be absolutely insufferable. So know that. It is. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
So now, this is where I'm going to get into a little bit of some fun stuff. So we're going to do a 5-man lineup draft. So this is a starting lineup that you do in the NBA, and we're just going to do
So we're going to
all-time
basketball now.
all-time best players. Make the all-time best starting lineup you can in a draft. And since you're my guest, you can have the first pick.
Okay. Well, I mean, I am.
So who's he going to take?
I'm a victim of celebrity. In some cases, a victim of celebrity power. So
Yeah.
And I lived through this era myself. So I'm going to pick Michael Jordan. So
All right, he's going to pick MJ?
Yeah.
I'll take the best player to build a team around, and that's LeBron. He's not better than MJ all time
Okay.
now.
Then next up is it's hard for me to pick, especially here in Arkansas. It's hard for me to pick Michael Jordan without picking Scottie Pippen as well.
Oh, okay. He's going to pick Pippen to kind of take the lockdown defense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the question is, do I go big man here or do I go guard to try to pair with LeBron? Because I don't want you getting Steph or Magic. But you're going to get one of them either way because I'm not picking both. You know what? I'm going to take the best center on the board. I'll take Kareem.
Now this is any
Player from throughout history.
player from any. Okay.
Any player throughout history.
Okay. Well, then I'm gonna pick Larry Bird.
Oh, he's getting big wings to build his team around. Okay, so you're gonna play Pippen at the power forward, I'm assuming, and play Bird kind of like at that hybrid 3.
Maybe, unless I come up with another
spot?
one.
Okay. Since you didn't take a guard, I'll take Magic.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I should have waited on Bird because you might not have picked him.
I wasn't gonna pick him either way. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's a good pick though. You're building your team around wings. I like it.
Okay. Let's go with. Now, is this kind of like a fantasy situation? Like we're not taking into consideration whether they would ever play together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So you got a guard and a big man left to get. I'm wondering where you're gonna go.
Okay, let's say we put in. I'm gonna put in Kobe Bryant.
Whoa! So you're gonna play MJ at the 1? You're gonna play MJ at point guard?
I don't see. Again, I don't know if they would ever get along.
Oh,
but I'm just picking pure.
Yeah,
people.
So your defense is absolutely insane. Like nobody's gonna be able to score on you. Here's the issue, though. Like I don't know how well your personalities are gonna mesh.
Well, that's the thing. That's why I asked. Yeah.
Yeah, locker room.
Because I could have put Isaiah Thomas, but
Yeah,
you
you
know.
might have some locker room issues
Yeah,
there.
yeah, but we're not talking about the locker
You'll
room.
iron that out. You'll iron that out.
Do we have one left or two left?
I have 2 left. You have 1.
Oh, okay.
I'm wondering if I maybe want to move LeBron to the 4 for this. Yeah, I'm just going to go with best fit, and I'm going to move LeBron to the 4, and I'll take Kevin Durant. Give me a 7-foot wing to pair with LeBron.
That's interesting. I'm gonna put the Joker in then.
Ooh, okay. Man, Kareem versus Jokic is an insane combo. That's an actual.
I could have gone older. I could have gone. Yeah. See. There's a lot of.
No, that's a great
Jordan era ones that I could have done, but I just let's keep it.
Yeah, no, that's a great pick.
It's kind of strange. Isn't
You
it?
essentially have a
You can
point
tell I
guard.
don't know much about basketball.
So, what I would do, right, if you're taking Jokic and you have like all these like wings and like shooting guards, right? I would take Jokic and essentially have him play point center, essentially, because his passing skills are insane, and it would be great to have that kind of playmaker like running your point, like also being that down low force.
I just figure if you've got Larry Bird, Michael Jordan.
Oh, your
Scottie
spacing's
Pippen.
nasty. It's insane.
On
You
the
have
same team. You don't need Steph Curry.
no. You have the shooting. You have the play. Good gosh, you might have built the greatest team of all time. Good gosh.
That's nice of you to say. I know you know a lot more about this than I do. So
Okay.
this is fun.
So you took the 2 best shooting guards. So I don't know what I want to do here.
You got one more, right?
Yeah. You know what? We're gonna try to combat you, and we're also I'm gonna take another big wing to play shooting guard. And he played shooting guard early in his career. This isn't the best player by any means, but I'm going purely off of fit with LeBron, and I'm gonna take Kawhi Leonard
Oh, interesting.
to kind of play that
How tall is
defense.
he?
About 6'8".
Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna take him, have him play that defense that he has against Michael Jordan and Kobe, and kind of lock him up a little bit. Now he's obviously not going to be able to do it fully because it's Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, but we'll put it there. Man, that is good. Gosh, we have big teams for sure. Like we went.
Yeah, I could have. Yeah, gone a lot of different.
So
directions.
yours is Jordan, Kobe, Bird, Pippen, and Jokic. Mine is Magic, Kawhi, KD, LeBron, and Kareem. I feel like mine has bigger names, but yours is a better fit team. I should have taken
Bigger
Steph.
names
I
than
should've-
Larry Bird and Michael Jordan.
No, I said yours has bigger
I
names on
thought
it.
you said yours. Okay,
No,
sorry,
no.
that was my mistake.
No. Ah, man, I should have picked Steph. I should have picked Steph at point guard. That would have been nasty.
That would have been See, that would have. But
Yeah, the issue is outside of KD, I have no freaking shooting on my team. My team is all downhill and defense.
if you'd have picked Steph, I would have picked Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Although it wouldn't have been necessary because there's so many great defensive players in the lineup.
We picked really great teams. That's actually so good. All right. So now this is a new segment that I'm doing. We're gonna do which one of these NBA players would you rather let date your daughter? So
This is a strange question for me, but-
Essentially, I'm gonna name 2 players from history, right? And I have different sets of 2 players, and we're gonna see which one you would rather let date your daughter. I know you know some current basketball players. You know a lot of historical basketball players. So I'll see what we can do here. First up.
So you're gonna name the player?
I'm gonna name the players and then we'll discuss. Yeah.
Okay, but if I don't know them, then I could just say I don't know.
Yeah, and
Tell me a
I'll
little
say
bit about them.
All right.
Sorry.
First up, Kyrie Irving or Kyle Kuzma. Oh, this is easy for me. This is Kyrie.
See, I don't know much about. I mean, I know a little bit about Irving, but I don't know much about. I don't know anything really.
Yeah.
About,
So who are you
Kuzma.
taking?
You're not gonna tell me anything. You're not gonna give me any
So
information.
Kuzma's like a power forward on the Wizards. He's blonde. He's an Instagram boy. Kyrie thinks the Earth is flat. So.
I mean,
This is easy for me.
Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about. Okay. Well, Kuzma. Where are they from? Like, where are they? Are they?
Kuzma is a player. Like, he's been with a Kardashian. He wears Rick Owens to games. He tweets corny crap.
That knocks him out of the running. What about? See, I can deal with
the
flat
issue
earthers because
the issue with Kyrie is he got in all that like anti-Semitic and like the whole vaccine stuff a few years ago. But it's like. The funny thing I heard someone say, which I think is completely wrong, is you're comparing Kyrie Irving's insane shenanigans to Kyle Kuzma dressing funny.
But racism is not something to be taken lightly.
No, it's not.
I can't say neither, I guess.
No, you have to pick one of them, and it's like. But, like, Kuz has got blonde hair, and he's out there with, like, models and stuff for, like, I don't want Kuz.
Yeah, my daughter, I don't want you. I don't have a daughter, but if I did, I wouldn't want someone like that near them. I mean, although racism is not something to be taken lightly, but there are things that you can educate a person, I suppose, coming from the educator's standpoint, in terms of, flat earth and, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm going Kyrie.
Discrimination's a little harder but it can be unpacked and yeah.
I'm going Kyrie.
Me too.
Yeah. We'll go Kyrie here. All right.
This is funny because
next one we got Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard.
Don't know either one of those. So
okay,
give me some more information.
I'm going Damian. Like, his loyalty is off the charts. Although I'll say this, I feel like he might be a little too scarily loyal. Like he'd get like physical or something. I don't know. But Giannis is a freak. Like, that dude is an actual freak, and I don't know if it's just a joking. We're not gonna name call.
Well, you can. It's your show, but here's my thing about name calling. It's fine as an introduction. Our politicians do it all the time and stuff. But let's get deeper. Let's get deeper. I mean, even as I was saying, that Irving might possibly be a racist. I really shouldn't say that without gathering more information.
Oh yeah, he went through all the anti-Semitic stuff.
Right. I mean, it sounds like it's a problem, but I would need to dig a little deeper. So that's my only thing.
Giannis is an act he's hilarious, but man, that dude is says some of the freakiest stuff without ever thinking about him. Just what are you thinking, dude?
But it could be interesting.
Oh, it's interesting for sure. I'd take Giannis, but it's funny.
All right.
So,
sorry, I didn't know those.
So next up,
I might not know these either.
So next up, this is actually a historical one, so I think you will know this. And we'll go. And they're both New York players. So the Knicks players.
Okay.
We'll go.
I have liked the Knicks at times.
Walt Frazier or Carmelo Anthony.
Okay, so I know Carmelo Anthony's name. Frazier.
Walt Frazier was the point guard on that 70 finals team.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about them. Well, much about them as people. Give me give me some direction.
Oh, Walt Frazier was a good family man, but he also was kind of an idiot back in the day.
Again,
so in interviews he would just talk about how he had no clue what anything about he was doing, and then Melo's one of the nicest people you'll ever meet, but the guy is just he's out there. He gets with people. He gets people. He's like Paul Pierce in that sense.
All right, but I guess I'll go with the first one then.
Yeah.
To say that you don't know anything is not a bad thing. And if he's a family oriented, because you're framing the question of like what kind of moral character would you align with to bring into your family?
Yeah, it's
right? I mean, that's
it's insane.
So it's hard whenever I don't know them. I'm trying to make a moral judgment based on what you're telling me. But anyway, based on what you're telling me, it seems like if you start to tell me something like, oh, this is a real ladies' man, or they're a player off the court, and they're it's like.
Yeah, there's the whole
cool,
meme. The whole meme of Wilt Chamberlain probably did it with your grandma.
Oh yeah, Wilt Chamberlain had such a reputation. A lot of it self-purported.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But then, you had and those were times probably too where it was kind of elevated, you know.
Oh, yeah,
the-
100%.
I mean, it still is, I guess, but yeah, especially. So it's kind of interesting. If you're in one particular industry, you could be buried with one encounter like that. But then in other industries, the more you have, the cooler you are. Or something like that. So it's hard whenever we're talking about athletes because they usually fall into the second category.
Man, keep Mello the heck away from my daughter. Something about the way he carries himself. I just don't want to look at him at the dinner table. Like, that's what I feel like with him, you know. All right, last one, and this one's actually super funny. This is Zion Williamson or John Morant.
I don't know either one of those. Travis.
Okay. Either you're choosing Zion Williamson, who is a really, really funny guy, but has gotten 3 porn stars pregnant, or you're going with John Morant, who beat up a 16-year-old in a park and is carrying a gun on Instagram Live multiple times.
Okay, tell me more about the second one.
Back
to the first one.
He had an allegation that he beat up a 16-year-old in a mall after he beat him in a one-on-one, and he also carried a gun into a nightclub on like a live or something, and then he also flashed a gun in his car a few months after that on live again. And he is a wild man.
Yeah, see, this is an interesting thing because now what you're uncovering is how I feel. You know, it's a good trick you got going on because you're now trying to uncover how I feel about these two extremes of the world of like sexual expression and then the world of violence. So I'll just say this. I'm much more against any notions of violence. Than I am the whole.
So you choose Zion.
outside the the prescripts for what's sexually appropriate. But I'm not into criminal activity either. So I mean, anyway, it's a.
So you're gonna go, if you had to choose, you'd go with Zion Williamson.
Based on what you've told me, I mean, you mentioned porn stars, you mentioned pregnancies, but you didn't mention any crimes against children.
No.
No. And you didn't mention any violence there. So yeah, based on that, I would say.
Here's my thing with John Morant, right? At least I know my daughter will be protected, right?
Unless she's the one that.
But he loves her so much he'll beat up someone. He'll beat up a 16-year-old in a mall for her. But then, Zion has no style. He's constantly going out there on my daughter. I don't want anybody cheating on my daughter, right? So just based on that alone, I'd go Ja. But I think throwing morals out the window here, at least I know my daughter will be protected at all times.
Unless she's 16 and she's the one that she's upset.
Oh, please! If that's the case,
that's where my mind went.
Yeah.
Violence is I have a.
Oh yeah, and I think you can't win in this situation. You can't win in this situation. It's like
you can't say neither.
If you're met with an option and it's like, no, my daughter can stay single.
I'm out of coffee. I have to start drinking water. That's good.
Dang. So, all right. So that's gonna do it for this episode of Sitdown Remix. Do you have anything you want to say to my viewers?
I appreciate just being a guest here and kind of just having a good time with some things.
Yeah.
Happy to be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, I appreciated having you, and it was really fun. If you ever want to come back on, I'm happy to have you on again.
I might have some other ideas. Maybe we could talk about throw in the mix.
All right. So, make sure to like, comment your favorite part of this podcast and other video ideas you guys want to see, other segment ideas you guys want to see, and I'm gonna get this edited and uploaded so you guys can watch it on time. And for now, I'm gonna be out. Peace, y'all.